Hello, I actually screen recorded me editing this shoot for you to share with you, um, but I I was just so not in the flow while I was editing because I was aware that I was recording the screen, which I don't usually do. So normally I just make a cup of tea, sit here and edit, not really thinking about it, and it just kind of flows. But because I was recording the screen, I suddenly started overthinking what to do and kept going on to different pictures, not really in the flow, and it just didn't. I don't know. It's probably not a great one to share, but I can still share it if you'd like me to. So please drop a comment, give me the feedback. It was kind of a quick edit, but it ended up taking ages. My computer kept slowing down and things as well. So the screen recording was 20 minutes long. It was really interesting to notice myself breaking that flow because I started overthinking because I felt like I was being watched. And if any of you have bought my book, Piano Fingers, you will recognise this kind of common theme. In the book I mentioned musicians, when they feel like they're being watched, they suddenly start playing differently, making more mistakes, it doesn't quite flow. It's that kind of thing. Anything creative, I feel like you sort of disappear and lose yourself in the bubble. And when you're putting yourself out there with it and being watched to inspire others, there is a slight danger that you can feel a little bit more self-conscious, and it can then prevent you from actually reaching that state or being in that flow that was the reason that you enjoyed that creative hobby so much in the first place. So I will return to doing some recording of my editing, and I'll probably just get used to it. But sometimes it's really good to just be in the moment, isn't it? Disappear on your own and just keep that for yourself. I'm really enjoying cropping panoramic at the moment, so I quite liked to keep that theme mostly throughout this shoot. The two guitars on the far left-hand side were less lit than the ones on the right here because the window is on the right-hand side of what you're seeing here. So you are losing a little bit of detail in the guitars on the left, right on the left there, which is a little bit frustrating. But also the light, we just used the room light. We didn't set up any lighting for this shoot. So it really was an experiment to see what we can get. A little bit like John Bigglestone's, one of his last projects before he passed away. He was photographing people in their homes, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully finding some of his work and maybe even sharing it. But this is something I've just not consciously, I've just found myself doing recently, is just capturing people in their homes. So as you can see here, I was trying to be a little bit creative, tell a bit of a story. The guitars on the wall just made such amazing subject, and there's a lot going on in here, and this was one of the things that was less flowy than, like, say, my previous shoot in the Arboretum, where you could really spread your wings and you had loads of space, you had the sunlight to play with. Obviously here I was a lot more confined, and I felt it. I really felt like I had to think outside of the box to get some creative shots. All in all, I feel quite disappointed with the results, actually. This one, bless, Ross's knee was just really bugging me in this shot, but I couldn't crop it out. I decided to take a low viewpoint to try and minimise the clutter that was underneath the desk, because naturally there's just loads of cables and things around on the floor. So when you take a low viewpoint, it's great to get like a nice white ceiling, and it just creates those lovely angles. But it didn't quite work with Ross's knee. Can you see how the corners of the room kind of frame the subject quite nicely, and then you've got those nice diagonals there. And I did crop this for the diagonal flow because it helps your eye move around the image. But yeah, it's just not quite there, is it? I quite liked that we had a little bit of bleed from the sunlight behind Ross coming through the window, but again, losing detail in the shadows there. There's just not enough meaning for that light. Do you see what I mean? So it's just, I think this whole shoot's really lacking like that extra layer of energy, magic, because we were just trying to work with quite a flat, difficult light. You only had a small window with the light coming in. So it's all about the light, isn't it? I did experiment with various different viewpoints, so some looking down from above as well as looking up from below. And again, I think I'm really craving another level of detail in my photography. I keep thinking about the Z9, the detail in the shadows and the extra sharpness and fine quality of the images from the Z9. It just, I don't know, it keeps calling me. And I've also still got in the back of my mind the odd focusing issue that I've had in the past with the D3. I don't know, it kind of haunts me. Even though I've got the lenses calibrated, this is another thing that would be a great benefit of going mirrorless, that I wouldn't have the thought that my focusing could be inconsistent. I just wanted to share one of the worst shots. Obviously, Ross has got a lovely smile here. You wouldn't think he was really poorly on this day, would you? But do you see how the guitar, that in the foreground, it's just not sharp? You've got those horrible reflections from the window, and you can see the fingerprints. I was playing with a very shallow depth of field to try and let plenty of light in. But yeah, I just wanted to share not just the shots I was fairly happy with, but all the ones I wasn't. See how there's the distracting black speaker on the right hand side of this, and it's just lacking that dynamic of interesting lighting. This one is unedited. As I say, I can share the screen recording of how I edited these if you guys would like, but this one I wanted to just bring the attention. Again, I don't really feel like this shot is there, really. Hasn't really worked how I wanted it to. But I just wanted to bring the attention to the guitar hanging on the wall, the second one in, which is actually built by my brother, Daniel. So this is Ross. As you know, my other brother Daniel actually built that guitar for Ross, and it's made from a piece of wood that was in my granddad's garage. So granddad was a real keen woodworker. He had a lathe and he used to turn all sorts of things, and he had this bit, I think it might be walnut. You guys probably know better than I do, but yeah, he had this piece of wood left over in the garage, and my brother found it and he made this guitar for my other brother Ross with that. And I just thought that was really special, so I wanted to home in on something. And I think that's the beauty of photography in many ways, is as the photographer, you're going to see some beauty in something. You're going to see a message. You're going to have a story in your mind that you're trying to tell, or you're homing in on. But the magic is that your viewers of your photography aren't necessarily going to know the secrets and the detail of your work and what's behind it, and the feeling behind it, and the emotions attached to certain images. And I just love that, because it leaves a sense of mystery and a sense of almost imagination, to leave something for your viewer to imagine, to leave something unseen, unsaid, and let them come to their own conclusion, or just fill in the gaps. And maybe not everybody looks so deeply into photography as this, but I like to think that with every photo there's something more.